All right, guys, so we're in Photoshop. I'm going to basically show you guys how to turn any random photo just like this into something like this. So you can really shoot anywhere in your house as long as you just kind of have the idea and the imagination to create what you want. Now, for complete beginners, look, you're going to need 3 tools. The first one is going to be your selection tool up top. This is just so you can click whatever's in your project. And then the rectangular marquee tool and the lasso tool, they're the same thing, except one just makes a rectangle when you're trying to select things. And then one, you can do more of a custom free flow selection. So either one of those tools will work. I just use them for different scenarios, but let's get started. You're going to need to know the layers thing also. Like if you don't know how the layers work, it might be a little confusing, because if you try to generate, like let's say how AI works is I can circle this and then type in a cat and it'll put a cat here, but it'll look weird if the layer isn't selected right. And you need to make sure that you're on a layer and AI can see what's beneath it so that it'll blend whatever that you're trying to create with the photo. So this is the bottom layer, layer 0. How the layers work is whatever's at the bottom of this stack is going to be what's furthest away from your face if you're looking down on this image here. Like let's just say we're looking down. I put this red rectangle here because it's on top of layer 0, and you can see if we're looking down from this perspective, no matter where I drag this layer, it's going to be on top of the photo, and vice versa. If I put the red rectangle underneath, then we don't see it anymore because now the image is closest to my face and the red rectangle is furthest away. If I hide it, now we see the rectangle again. Cool. So hopefully that makes sense and you understand how the layers work. Now, when we're trying to, I'm going to unhide this group here. When we're trying to generate new stuff if we're trying to generate a new look for an image, we have to make sure that whatever the original image is selected. Make sure that you're selected, you just click it. That's it. Super simple. Now let's go to the lasso tool. Now what you want to do is click and hold, and you just want to select or draw around whatever it is that you want to get rid of. This is pretty much what I did. And basically what's going to happen here is everything in this little selection, we call this marching ants. I just drew it. We can go in here and click generative fill and then just type in whatever it is that we want and then click generate. I've already did it, so I'm just going to unhide it here. You'll see it says Modern DJ Studio. Now I pretty much just blended in this black table and got rid of all this extra stuff that I don't want. So that's fine. No big deal here. We can just build on top of this by selecting or by using the lasso tool and typing in whatever it is that we want. So for this image, I put like a speaker here. And then I wanted to do some type of like LED desk right here. So I just kind of selected that and typed it in right here. And it gave me like it didn't give me what I wanted, but it gave me something cool. And we'll get into that here in a second. So let's start with the modern style speaker. We'll unhide that. It gave me a nice little sub speaker there, and I can switch between different options. If I don't like them, I can go and click generate again. But I did like this second option, so we went ahead and went with that. So you can see right here where this white little paint is, that shows you where I made the selection. It's like the same shape, is kind of like, well, more like that. So we look here, we can see all the white here, and I made like a selection that kind of like highlights all this stuff over here. We'll just deselect that and let's unhide it. And then that's what gave me that little wooden type of aesthetic to the keyboard, and added another sub speaker there, which I thought was super cool. Now I'm like, okay, let's add some more little touches on here. Added a little microphone. We've got some options there that we can select from. I like this one the best. That one was cool. And then I wanted an LED screen, which again, I just did a selection there. And now pretty much we have the finished product of what I wanted to go for. The brand can zoom in a little bit more if they want to post it on social media, or they can just keep this as a lifestyle photo if they want. So if we hide it, we go from this to this, from this to this. Super easy. If you want to add text, you can add it. That's, some brands will want to, add whatever language that they want on top of that. But I also want to add that whenever you're make sure that you have that layer selected, because if you don't, you'll get weird stuff like this. So the AI needs to see the image beneath it. If it doesn't have anything to see, you type in DJ booth, it's going to give you literally this. So you want to get good results here. I was just playing around just to see like what I could create before I got started, and I came up with something like this. But even still, I can show you real quick how it works. Let's just say we got like a little table here. I'm going to highlight that, generative fill. Let's just say dog with fish. Oops, I said dish. I meant fish. There we go. We'll click generate and see what it gives us. All right, it put a dog there. I don't see a fish, but you kind of see how the whole thing works anyway. No big deal. So we'll move on to the rest of these photos. That's pretty much how Photoshop works if you guys want to take your photos from any random spot in your house to anywhere in the world. So this makes my job a little bit easier in Photoshop. I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to do a quick little transformation on here. We're going to go up to that rectangular marquee tool, and basically I'm just going to make, this is how I use the rectangular marquee tool. It's really easy to expand the background if you shrink it down a little bit. But anyways, what you can do is make that selection, hold down shift, and then you can make extra selections that'll layer on top of each other. And just like that. And then now you see we have everything selected. Now, if you look closely, you'll see that I have a little bit of the image selected on the edges. Now, why you want to do this is because AI needs to read these pixels. So when you go into this white space over here, it'll build off of what it sees here. If you don't, like if you make a selection that's, let's just do this because I'll do an inverse selection. Is this it? No, that's inverse. Boom. So let's do an inverse selection. So you see how like none of that photo is in there. So we're just building off a white space, and it's just going to create nonsense that has nothing to do with this photo. So just make sure that you have that selected and you'll be good. So my layer that I made was like this. So it kind of just added in more weights. I wanted to go for like more of a jungle gym type of Tulum theme, which was a little difficult to do, but just to keep it simple, I just added like a quick little palm leaf right here. So I just made a selection with the lasso tool, just went like that, and then typed in palm leaf, did a generation, and then that's what I got. So I'm happy with this image. You can add some text here or there if the brand wants to, or just keep it like a lifestyle photo, and that's pretty much it. This is when we're going to get into a little bit more detail with Photoshop, just a little bit, nothing too crazy. We're basically going to take away this entire background and put this outside. So follow along with me. One thing, when you first upload your photo into Photoshop, you'll have this option on this menu. Back in the day before AI, we just had to do this manually, so it's so much easier for beginners now. You literally just come here and you press remove background. It's that simple. Now you'll see that there's some issues here with the board. Now if you look over here to these squares that we talked about in the past examples, this is called a layer mask. So what happens is the AI, and what we would have to do in the past, we would have to paint away the picture with black, and then you'll see that the skateboard right here, or the longboard, is white in this layer mask. So anything to the original photo that we want back in, all we have to do is paint white into the photo. You can press B as in boy on your what do you call it, on your keypad, and then that'll switch to the brush. Now look over here in this section, you have black in the foreground. If you press X as in X-ray, then it'll switch white into the foreground. You can also click it to change to different colors if you want to do that. That'll come in handy one day if you want, but pressing X will switch black and white to the foreground. Foreground is what color you currently have selected. So with the white brush selected, let's make that a little bit bigger. You can use the brackets, open brackets to make it smaller, close brackets to make it bigger. If you paint white, you'll see now on that adjustment layer, we have a bit of the photo. The wall is back in the photo. All right, so you can then go into this picture and start to fill in that wheel again. Now there is still a little bit of extra stuff kind of leaking off the wheel, which we'll talk about later. But if, like for instance, with this board, we're missing a little part right there. Now you can see there's still a little bit of the wall left. So what we want to do here is paint black. You just do the opposite. So the parts of the picture that you don't want, you just want to paint more black into it so we can get rid of that portion of the wall. There you go. And obviously I'm just doing like a little rush job here. You might just have to fix up whatever AI misses. Most of the time it won't miss, but sometimes you'll have to fix it up a bit. But anyways, again, I'm just kind of showing you how to fix and navigate certain situations when you want to get that board put together. Now I'm going to go back up because I already have most of it cut out. Well, not necessarily, but I just want to go back to the original layer. Okay, so when you first start off, what you want to do is you want to duplicate this layer, because ideally what you want to have one layer where it just has the board. So if we take away this layer on the bottom, it'll just have the board by itself. So you'll have one layer where it just kind of has, you'll have one layer where it has the board and the background removes. We'll just kind of paint away a little bit of that white. Again, this is just a rush job, nothing too crazy. Paint that away. Paint that away. Okay. So you want to have that board and you want to hide that. Then bring back the original photo, go to your lasso tool, and then you want to select this board and then just hit generative fill. You don't have to fill anything in. Whenever you want to erase something, just select it with one of the marquee tools or the lasso tool, and then Photoshop automatically kind of knows like what to get rid of. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, that's just how AI works now, I guess. So we'll wait for that to finish loading, and it should completely make the board disappear, and it's filled in a completely new background. Nice. So then what I like to do is use the marquee tool, and I can go in here and I want to select everything, not the entire photo like there, but I want to select a little bit of the floor, because I want this floor to blend into the new background. So I'll type in like tropical skate park, and then I'll hit generate, which I've already done, so I'm not going to do it right now. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get rid of all this stuff and bring the layer back up again. What's going to happen is now we have a tropical background with my floor from my backyard that kind of blends into that, right? And we have that layer, which was right here, but I already have it right here as well with the board that's already cut out. Well, this is the bad cutout. Let's replace it with the other one, because I kind of switched that one to make it a little bit better. There we go. Now we have the board that's already kind of cut out, right? It's there, but it still looks a little weird. If we bring the original photo, something's off. What's off about it? It's the shadows. So the big reason why I say to keep the original floor is because once you start to add in the new background, it's not going to look quite right all the time unless you have the shadows. The shadows is what makes things look realistic. It makes it look like it's already there, that it belongs there. So we'll go back into that adjustment layer, and all we have to do is just paint back in the shadows in the picture. So we need to get white, switch back to our brush tool. I'll hit the brackets to make it a little bit bigger. Since we don't have clean cutouts here on the wheels, this also makes it really nice because I have white. We need to switch over to, or I have black. We need to switch over to white. Since I already have the floor on there, I can just go in there and paint the floor back in. And then also I'm going to add the shadows back in as well. And now it's actually starting to look like this board belongs here. Now you can see I kind of put in a little bit of the background, and I wasn't trying to do that. So let's just go back in again and just kind of like quickly erase it. I think I did it like over here too. There we go. And that looks way more realistic compared to how it was before. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of cleanup that we have to do there. But for the most part, we pretty much have the board put together. And I have a couple other options that I can use. These aren't really my favorites, I would say. But I can still go in and regenerate new options. Or I can take the best of the three, which I think is this one. And I can use the lasso tool to create different trees. I can create a different background here if I want to do that. Just up to my imagination of what I want to do, but this is a quick and easy way just to take your product and put it somewhere completely different from where you originally shot it. So I went and found another option that I like, just to have two. I might send both to the brand, but it's really cool because once you get the background or once you get the object keyed out, you can just add in whatever background that you want and easily just create however many images that you want with that single shot. So it's a nice thing to have. So just wanted to add that in there. Back on the image with the golf. Okay, we're back on the image with the golf theme. I know I said I was going to only show you guys 3 of these tools, but I'm adding a little extra sauce for you. There's a crop tool. Now, what's cool about this is that you can go in and expand the photo to give it a little bit more space, which is what I want to do for this photo. I feel like it's a little too crammed up, which it could work for the brand's purposes, but I don't know, I just want to give it a little bit of extra sauce in there. So you don't really have to type much. You just kind of go in and expand it to make it as even as possible. And you click generate, and from there it will do its work and fill in all that extra space. It'll even fill in the space with that golf club there. So that should continue to follow its way off the screen, and just give it a little extra space for text or whatever else that the brand wants to add into the image. So we can zoom back into there, and there it is. So super simple as that. We're not going to do too much of this photo, just keep it simple. And those are just some Photoshop tricks that you can use for your product photography if you're feeling like you don't have anywhere to shoot or just need to get something knocked out real quick. So there it is. I hope you guys learned a lot from this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.